Okay, the second case is when there is no air resistance, but we have inelastic collision, and also we have collision time included in the setup, right? So the second case is no air resistance, collision time, and inelastic collision. So in this category, in this case, if we draw the graphical representation, so it is very much clear we have inelastic collision. Inelastic collision means there must be a loss of energy. So definitely energy loss, and because of energy loss, the height of the ball also decreases. So after every collision, the peak of the graph starts to decrease, and we have collision time also. In previous graphical representation, we observed that because of no collision time, after first collision, the direction of graphs quickly changes and it converts into the rebound state. But when we have a collision time, so there must be delay in the collision or in the rebound. So for example, we consider same x and y axis. So we consider same idea. We have velocity given on y axis, negative on the other side, time on x axis. So, for example, if we start from maximum height of same value, let's suppose 10, just like the last time we discussed, we drop the ball and it reaches the maximum height of 10 meter per second. And after that, we have a slight difference in the time. We will not get a straight line downward. There is a slight tilted line. This is also equals to 10. And after that, it continue to move in further direction, but with decreasing value like this. And if we compare the collision time, that how to represent the collision time. So basically, if we draw a straight line from this point, so you can see there is a gap between a straight line and the original line. So if we draw original line, so that is a slightly at different position, but a straight vertical line is in different direction. So it means there is a delay time given in this graphical representation. So this represents the collision time. And same from the other side also. If we draw a straight line, so we can identify the difference. So basically this difference actually represents the collision time, because when body collides with the surface, so definitely there is like microsecond time duration in which it strikes the ground and change the direction. And the other factors are same. This represents the first collision. Then we have second collision. Because of energy loss, the new value is different from the first. So this is the new value, it decreases, and this is the concept of rebound. So this is the whole graphical representation related to the free fall without air resistance. And after this idea, if we move on to equation of motion, because to solve this type of cases, we definitely use some formula, and that formula can be derived with the help of equations of motion. So if we consider equation of motions, basically, in our syllabus, we consider all states without air resistance. Because if we have air resistance, so definitely there will be a curve graphical representation. Because of air resistance, just like we discussed a case in O levels and IGCSE, free fall motion and parachute example. So in that case, what happens? There is a concept of terminal velocity. Like after some time, the weight of the body and air resistance balance each other, then velocity becomes constant. Before that, acceleration is increasing. So we will get a curve representation of the graph. So in our syllabus right now, that curve representation of graph with air resistance is not included. So that's why if they ask, so they will only ask about journal representation in MCQs, not in detailed calculation theory based question, right? So we will practice in MCQs question if they ask with air resistance, but they only ask about like a journal representation. So they will not ask any question related to a curve graphical representation with air resistance and to find out unknown quantity given in the question, because that is not in our syllabus right now. In projectile motion we always consider air resistance negligible. In kinematics question in past papers you always find the question it is mentioned always in the question that air resistance is negligible. So we don't need to worry about the idea of this air resistance, right? Because in mostly question, if I just show you some questions, for example, this is one question, air resistance is negligible. Another question, assume that air resistance is negligible, right? So always we have air resistance negligible in our questions. Air resistance is negligible. So in all the cases, air resistance is always negligible. So that's why we don't need to worry about the air resistance idea in our questions, because that will become more complicated right now at this level, because right now we are already learning new concept, and if we add one more advanced concept, so it will be difficult to learn both concept at a time at this level. So in equation of motions we know that there are three equation of motion, and those equations are already given in the data booklet on the start of the paper. So the first one is s equals to, or v is equals to u plus at, final speed is equals to initial speed plus acceleration into time. Second, s equals to, so this v plus u over 2 represents average speed. Initial plus final divided by 2, so it means average speed or velocity. And we have half at square. And the fourth one So out of these four equations, we know that these three are 1, 2, 3. So we always use these three equations to solve the question, but this second equation is specific for average velocity idea. So if somewhere they are talking about average velocity, so then we apply this formula, otherwise it is not required. Because this formula is derived from this formula, S equals to Vt. So that velocity is average, so V plus U divided by 2. And if only one value is given, so we can directly use S equals to Vt, right? And further, if we want to discuss that when to apply these equations and when we know that these equations are applicable on our questions, so there are some conditions. So if we talk about those conditions, so conditions are to apply equation of motion. So to identify the conditions, first of all, equation must be in a straight line or it will be like a linear equation. So that is the first condition. Straight line or linear motion. Secondly, constant or uniform acceleration. So in question, if we found these conditions of constant acceleration or uniform acceleration, linear motion or motion in a straight line, so then we can use these equations of motions, right? And these equation of motion can also be derived. There is like a derivation of these equations also, but before the derivation of the equation, first we discuss about the projectile motion because the derivations of these equations are very easy and it is very simple to represent that how to find out or how to drive the equations of motion, right? So that is very simple. So first of all, if we talk about the projectile motion, and before projectile motion, one more idea related to these equation of motion that is called upward or downward motion. So basically in upward and downward motion, when we throw a ball in upward direction, so let's suppose it is moving in vertical upward direction because there is no air resistance. So we always talk about the motion of a body without air resistance. So let's suppose ball is moving straight in vertical upward direction. So definitely initially we throw with some force or with some energy. So we have initial velocity given. So initially we throw with maximum velocity, but when ball reaches the maximum height, So ball is moving against the gravity. So after reaching the maximum height, its speed decreases, right? So continuously speed is decreasing. And when it reaches the maximum height, so definitely the final velocity will be equals to 0. So after reaching this maximum height, we consider the final velocity or the final speed as equals to 0, right? Because what happens when we are taking U-turn? So when we are taking U-turn, so what happens? We are changing direction. We are not covering up more distance. We are changing direction. So in the same way, when ball reaches the maximum height, now ball needs to change its direction. So if you observe that motion in slow-mo, so in slow motion, you observe that ball remains in this position for a microseconds, because at this point ball needs to change direction, and when we change direction, so definitely we require some micro time interval to change the direction. So that's why we consider final velocity 0, right? And one more thing, the value of g minus 9.81 meter per second square, right? So when body moves in vertical upward direction, so we use this idea. Since we are moving against the gravitational force, so we are taking minus sign. Simple. And in the same way, if we consider the downward motion, so that is opposite of the first. So let's suppose if we are moving in downward direction, so now this time we are talking about downward motion. So downward motion definitely starts from maximum height. So since last time we discussed in upward motion, final velocity is 0. So this time we consider initial velocity 0. And when it starts to move in downward direction, and when the ball is about to hit the ground, so final speed will be maximum. And this time the value of g 9.81 meter per second square, right? Any confusion in this idea? Okay. So for example, if you apply this same idea on the past paper question, because there is one question related to the equation of motion, and we also apply this concept of vertical movement on that question. So there is like very easy questions in past papers also related to equation of motion for like 8 marks, 10 marks, 11 marks. So we will get easy marks from those questions because we need to identify the correct situation of the question, and we will get the final answer. For example, if we consider this question is from 22 May June. So this is not very old question. And this is related to equation of motion and vertical upward and downward motion. So in this case, you will get complete idea how to solve this type of motion. And this motion is also in a straight line, just like we discussed. A straight line, linear motion, uniform acceleration. So we have all these conditions. So it means we can apply equation of motion in upward and downward movement. So let's suppose a man is standing on a wall, throws a small ball vertically upwards with a velocity of 5.6 meter per second. So right now they are talking about upward motion, and this is initial velocity for upward. So let's suppose this is initial. And right now we are talking about upward. So definitely in upward movement, we consider final velocity 0 always. And the ball leaves his hand when it is at height of 3.1 meter above the ground. Assume that air resistance is negligible. Show that ball reaches a maximum height above the ground of 4.7 meter height. So we need to show that ball covered total height of 4.7 meter in upward direction. And this man is already standing at 3.1 meter from the ground on a wall. So definitely ball is at this point, and this point is 3.1 meter from the ground already. So now in this scenario, it is very much clear that we are talking about vertical upward motion. Vertical upward, because to apply equation of motion, it is compulsory to consider linear motion or constant acceleration. So this time we are taking a straight movement in upward direction. So initial velocity is given 5.6. Final velocity 0. Value of g 9.81 meter per second square, but negative because we are moving against the gravitational force in opposite direction, and the main target is to find out the maximum height. So from equation of motion, we can use equation that includes final and initial velocity, the value of acceleration and height. So that equation is 2as. Equation of motions are already given in your theory paper and MCQs paper, so you can also copy paste equation from there if you don't remember them. So from this equation, it becomes H equals to, on the place of A, we can use the value of G, free fall acceleration. And finally, V is equals to 0, 5.6 square minus 9.81. So we are getting final answer 5.6 square is equals to 31.36. The final answer 1.59. It means 1.6. But they are saying the final distance must be equals to 4.7. And we already observe in the diagram that 3.1 meter is already covered by the ball, because ball is already at 3.1 meter height. So this is the vertical distance covered by the ball from the ground, because in question they are asking from the ground. So the final or total height is equals to 4.7 meters, right? This is the final answer. And in the second part, the man does not catch the ball as it falls. So basically when ball falls in downward direction, so man is not able to catch that ball. So now ball moves towards the ground. Calculate the time taken for the ball to fall from its maximum height to the ground. It means we are talking about downward motion. So in downward motion, uh, because we are talking about maximum height to the ground, so it means we are talking about downward motion. So basically what happens, the ball is thrown by the man, It reaches the vertical maximum height and then moves in downward direction. Because man is not able to catch the ball, so that's why it falls in downward direction. And if we start from the maximum height, so we know that maximum height initial velocity will be equals to 0. So initial velocity is 0. We don't know about any final velocity because initial velocity is given for upward motion, but for downward motion, there is no final velocity given. The value of g is now positive because we are moving with the gravity, and height is also given from the previous part, 4.7 meter, and time is unknown. So we only know about initial velocity, value of g, height, and time is unknown. So we can apply equation which only consists of initial velocity half at square. So h is equals to 4.7, initial velocity 0, 9.81 t square. So 4.7 multiplied by 2 divided by 9.81 is equals to 0.96. Also under root the answer. Final answer is 0.9, 0.96, 0.98. To round off, this is the final answer for the time taken by the ball to reach from the maximum height to the ground. So this is the time duration. So this part is also related to the vertical movement plus equation of motion. C part is about graphical representation. The ball leaves the man's hand at time t is equals to 0 and hits the ground at time t is equals to capital T. On figure 3.2, sketch a graph to show the variation of the velocity of the ball with time t from the time 0 to the total time. Numerical values are not required. Assume that v is positive in the upward direction. So any idea about the graphical representation, how to complete this graph? If we consider positive v for the upward motion and negative v direction for the downward motion. Basically, in this graphical representation, what we observe, we observe that body cover a short vertical upward distance, right? But body covers long vertical downward distance. So this is the difference that we observe in this question. So it means that the distance covered by the body in vertical upward direction is less than the distance covered by the body in vertical downward direction. So this is the clear difference. And from speed time graph, because in question speed time graph is given, and in this speed time graph, we know that area under the curve represents the distance. This case, right? So area under the curve represents the distance from speed time graph. So it means we need to show less distance in upward motion and more distance in downward motion. And values are not required. So we can mark a straight line because there is no air resistance like this. So why this graphical representation? Because in this graphical representation, area under the curve in upward motion is less than the distance or area covered by the graph in downward motion is greater. So this is downward motion. Area under the curve represents the distance, and this one represents upward. Right? Any confusion in this? Right. So because of different distance covered by the body, we have different representations also, because the distance covered by the body in upward direction is less and the distance covered by the body in downward motion is greater. And in D part, what is represented by the gradient of the graph? So gradient of the graph, we already know that represents acceleration. Because we have a speed time graph given in the question. In E part of the question, the man now throws a second ball with same velocity and from the same height as the first ball. So we have now second ball and we throw that ball with same velocity from the same height as the first ball. And the mass of the second ball is greater than the first ball. Assume that air resistance is still negligible. So for the first and second balls, compare the magnitude of their acceleration and speeds with which they hit the ground. So what do you think about their magnitude of acceleration and the magnitude of their speeds? Only the mass is greater for the second ball as compared to the first. All other things are exactly same, just like the first case we discussed. So any idea? Basically, we again have air resistance negligible, right? For example, this is very simple idea. If you take a paper and with paper you consider a tennis ball, right? So both have different masses. And if you drop them in normal state, so definitely tennis ball hit first. But let's suppose if we consider a vacuum chamber, there is a chamber where we have no air in atmosphere, where like there is no air particles available, completely vacuum. So in vacuum, when you drop heavy object and when you drop light object together, so both objects falls at same time on the ground. So it means they have same acceleration, which is equals to 9.8, right? So both objects falls with the same acceleration. So it means they have same speeds when they hit the ground. So it will remains unchanged, or we can say they both values of the accelerations are same. And this one also remains the same, right? So this is the idea of this question. Because sometimes we confuse, they actually confuse with other factors. They mention about the mass. But air resistance is also negligible. So when there is no air resistance, so this is like space. In a space, we know that all bodies are floating with the same ratio because there is no atmosphere. So when we have no atmosphere, so there is only one force acting, which is the gravitational force. And that's why we have same values of acceleration and velocity, right? Okay. So this is one question related to the equation of motion. We can also solve this one, but this includes projectile motion. So we need to know about the information of projectile. Plus, this one is also related to projectile. They are talking about horizontal component of the velocity. Okay, for example, if we consider this question, this is related to graphical representation, and this is also a curve graph, because mostly we are getting a straight line. So this time we have a curve graphical representation. So for example, in this question, we need to explain acceleration. So first of all, we need to define acceleration. So for acceleration, we can define rate of change of velocity. And the B part is a stone falls vertically from the top of a cliff and it shows variation with time of the velocity v. So the velocity and time graph is given again. First of all, explain with reference to the forces acting on the stone the shape of the curve in figure 2.1. So we already know about the basic idea of the forces, because in previous course definitely we studied about the free fall motion. So this is the like same concept given in the question. So basically in this part of the question with reference to the forces acting on the stone. So first of all, we observe that for a short time interval, there is a straight line, right? And this straight line represents that body is moving with constant acceleration. So this represents constant acceleration. So like initially, in the initial interval of the time, so we have constant acceleration of the body. And then we have a curve line, and this curve represent decreasing curve. So this is called decreasing acceleration. And finally, we got horizontal line. So this represents constant velocity, not acceleration, right? So this is for 3 marks, 3 points. First of all, we mention initially there is a constant change in velocity with time. Constant acceleration. And in question, it is mentioned a stone falls vertically from the top of a cliff. This time, air resistance is not negligible right now. So it means after some time, air resistance increases with time interval and body falls with. Yes, we will mention about terminal velocity in the last part because we have constant. So this is the same idea, just like O levels IGCSE. So this is the same concept. There is nothing new in this question. With decreasing acceleration and finally, when air resistance balances the weight, body falls with constant velocity. And use figure 2.1 to determine the speed of the stone when the resultant force on it is zero. Resultant force zero means all downward and upward forces are balanced. So body is moving with constant speed. So definitely body is moving with constant speed when there is zero acceleration and that value is this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 35. Right? 35 meter per second. Now, this is a different type of question. Question number 3. Use figure 2.1 to calculate approximate height through which the stone falls between this time duration. Now they are talking about approximate height. Why approximate height? Because graph is curved. So for regular shapes, we can use trapezium, triangle, rectangle formula to find out the distance from speed time graph. This time we also need to apply a speed time graph. sorry, area under the curve from speed time graph. But the problem is graph is curve. Graph is not straight. So this is the only problem. That's why the question says approximate height. So we use the same concept, area under the curve, but area under the curve is not same just like the other representations. So first of all, we need to consider some basic idea how to start solving up the question. So for example, if we consider this one box, for example, this one, right? So if we consider this whole box, so the dimension of the whole box is 5 vertical and 2.5 horizontal, right? So this is the representation of the graph of this whole box, right? 5 boxes vertical, 2.5 length horizontal, right? So the area of this one box, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one. So we are taking this box, this one, right? So from this scenario, what we discussed, that area of this particular box is equals to 5 into 2.5. So 5 into 2.5 is equals to 12.5. So this is the area of this particular box, right? Any confusion? Okay, now we are going to count the full boxes like the same under this curve, right? So let's suppose this is the first box. Yes, 30 seconds. We will count the whole. This is not the final answer. Now we are going to count the whole. So we try to cover up maximum full boxes, right? Because it is approximate, not exact. So we can consider this one as box one, right? Because this is almost one box. And this is box two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, right? 28, 29, 30, 31, plus 4, 35, plus 4, 39, plus 4, 43. This is small one, 44. Then plus 4, 48, plus 4, 52, plus 4, 56, plus 4, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. So there are like 70 and this one also 71. Yes. So we have approximate 71 complete boxes just like we discussed as the first one, right? Any doubt in this? So there are full boxes Just like we discussed that one box is equals to 5 meter, 5 boxes height and 2.5 horizontal. Basically, this is the simple method. The other method is you can select a large box, like four small boxes make up a large, because this is a curve shape and there is no particular curve shape to solve this type of questions. So this is the only type of method. You need to split this graph into small boxes according to your own choice. This is not compulsory that always split into these small box. You can also split this whole one into this one large box. So that will become more easy. For example, if we ignore this method and if we use a different counting, let's suppose, if we are not taking this counting and if you think this counting is very difficult to count right now, so ignore all the numbers. Okay. Now we are taking a big picture. So we are taking big box. So let's suppose this whole one, right? So we consider this whole box, right? So now we have large area. We have 5 multiplied by 10, right? So we have area of 50 meters square of this large box. So now counting is easy. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Approximate this is full box. 13, 14, 15, 16. So now counting is less, right? As compared to the first. So we have 16 full boxes. Now if we consider the half boxes, right? So this one, this is half, one half, second half, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, seventh. So we have almost 7 half boxes, right? If we combine together, so total we have 16 plus 7 half boxes, right? Multiply by the area of one box. Area of one box is 50, right? So it becomes 3.5 plus 16, 19.5, like this. So 1975 is the answer. This is the final answer. Okay. And in your marking scheme, there is a range of answer because this time we are talking about approximate. So minimum answer will be 900 to 1000. So we will get answer between this range. Okay. So because some people starts to represent between small boxes, just like we mentioned first, and now we consider large box. So if we consider a small box, that will be more accurate. But if we consider large box, that is less accurate. But in our question, they only demand for um approximate, right? Not the full one. Okay. So any doubt in this question? Okay. So basically, this is another type of category for the curve graph for the first time, because before that we only used to solve a straight or regular shapes, right? So this is a curve shape. And next time, definitely we will start with projectile motion, because first before that we need to know about the graphical representation, that what type of new graphical representation we will get, and how to use equation of motion in what type of questions. Okay. So inshallah next time we will start with projectile motion.